Thank you, Elaine. I appreciate that. And welcome everybody to our virtual webinar on virtual CGNAT. So let me launch off with a little explainer video that a colleague and myself put together, which I hope you enjoy.
Our hero, Link, started his WISP business back in 2005. He was a computer savvy guy that lived in a suburban area which was poorly served by the big ISP companies. He had a broadband connection in his office at the time, so he set up a wireless connection to his home and enjoyed a much faster level of service. Before long, he was serving all of his neighbors. So he set up an office in a local strip mall, brought a broadband connection and some MikroTik radios, and quickly grew to a couple of hundred subscribers. Last month, Link found out he'd won a grant to serve a much larger market just a few miles away. 2,000 new subscribers. He was very excited to hear the news and think about how his business would grow. But when he started doing the cost calculations, he realized that his IP addresses alone were going to cost him $100,000. That, plus all the other investments he had to make, gave him great pause. He bought IPv4 addresses just a few years ago for $20 each, and that was a lot. Would this business be profitable? He wondered. But then Link learned about the netElastic CGNAT router solution from his friendly Winncom sales rep. He realized he could save a ton of money and maybe even solve some other network challenges.
I hope you enjoyed that little intro. So let's dive into CGNAT and kind of explore what's the problem. So as I think you're all aware, IPv6 has been a solution to solve an IPv4 address problem, which basically is that there's not enough IPv4 address space to handle all the stuff that's going on the internet today. However, IPv6 has not been fully implemented because IPv4 is out there. It's hard-coded into legacy applications, old websites, or CPE routers. So IPv4 is something that just needs to be supported for the time being. However, IPv4 addresses are running out. The prices are spiraling upwards on the open market, and they're reaching $60 now for a typical IPv4 address. So it's really getting out of hand. What's a service provider to do? Well, you can buy more IPv4 addresses on the public market. You can actually still get, blocks of, I think, about 50 IPv4 addresses from Aaron after a little bit of a wait for a reasonable price. But if you're looking for larger blocks than that, it's almost impossible. You have to go to the open market to get those. Another way to go about it is to use a CGNAT router. Now, a CGNAT router will allow you to exponentially extend your IP pool. Gives you a lot of benefits. The prices are stable, the addresses are self-managed and owned, and your equipment's redeployable should you ever be able to go all IPv6, which I think is going to be a ways away, but it still gives you the ability to have redeployable equipment, which is kind of nice. So that's the problem, and one way that you can solve it. So netElastic, what is the netElastic CGNAT solution? Well, the netElastic CGNAT solution is a software-based CGNAT router. It's basically a software add-on to our netElastic standard V router. It gives you the ability to have up to 6 million sessions per router per instance. So assuming your subscribers are using about 200 sessions per subscriber, that would give you the ability to support about 30,000 subscribers per instance. And then you can support multiple instances per chassis. So if you need more than 30,000 subscribers, you can scale up on the same piece of hardware. Today, we support NAT44 and NAT444. We're exclusively looking to solve the problem of IPv4 address extension. We're not looking to solve NAT64 or other solutions. So if you're running an all IPv6 only network and not a dual stack network, then you'd probably want to look towards another solution. But if you're looking to solve just the IPv4 extension problem, ours is a very cost-effective and powerful solution. We support full NAT logging capability with syslog support for all your lawful law enforcement logging purposes. We support the same netconf, CLI, and BNG manager GUI of all of our other products. So it gives you a nice friendly way to manage the CGNAT router either through a CLI, if you're familiar with doing things that way, or through a full configurable GUI if you prefer to do things that way. In the example on the prior slide, we showed an inline or a separate solution where your BNG or your edge router is collecting all your data traffic, and then your IPv4 traffic that's non-routable gets sent to our router to do the CGNAT process, where all of your IPv6 and your routable IPv4 addresses go on a different path to the internet. But the nice thing about our solution is that you can put this all into a single box. So if you put a virtual BNG with virtual CGNAT, then you've got everything in a single packet pipeline. You're doing all your AAA services, you're doing all your natting, and you're doing all your upstream routing, whether it's OSPF or BGP or whatever, all in a single packet pipeline, and you're not experiencing the latency of going in and out of ports. So there's some real advantages to that as well. A quick cost comparison. Providing IPv4 addresses to 4,000 subscribers. Let's say that you were to do that but by basically buying IPv4 addresses. Well, assuming they're $50, and right now they're about $50 to $60, you'll be spending $200,000 to get IPv4 addresses for those 4,000 subscribers. If you lease those, it'll be about $81,000 for 3 years, which is a lot less, but over time, and I believe it's going to be a lot more than 3 years before that we need to support IPv4 addresses. Over time, that can get a lot more expensive than $200K. With a netElastic CGNAT router, let's make a couple assumptions here. First, you have to buy a basic set of IPv4 addresses, your seed addresses. You probably already own those. But if you didn't, you'd buy 14 more at market, let's say, which is a nice ratio. You'd buy a HA pair of netElastic CGNAT routers for failover in case of disaster. And then we'd give you a full 3 years of support. That whole thing would cost you less than $28,000. So it's a serious savings over the cost of buying your IPv4 addresses. So the netElastic CGNAT solution runs on top of the netElastic virtual router technology, which is a router software package that runs on top of Intel x86 hardware. So basically we run on inexpensive Xeon servers. That means it's flexibly deployed and scaled. It's an all software solution, so it can be installed either on bare metal or in virtual machines. It's pre-built installation scripts, so if you're familiar with Linux environments, it's very, very easy to install and get up and running in no time. Server upgrades are a simple IT task, so you don't have to worry anymore about rip and replace. You can kind of grow. As long as you have enough CPU, you can grow over time as you need to and start small. And of course, we can enable functionality by license. So you can take the base vRouter and either add CGNAT functionality, BNG functionality, or both. You can add more ports, you can add more subscribers, and you can do that over time so that you're not saddled with huge upfront costs. One of the advantages of the netElastic virtual routing base platform is our performance. Intel has told us that we're the fastest performing virtual router that they've seen on the market. We'll support up to 700 gigabits per second on a single 1RU server on 10, 25, 40, or 100 gig ports. We therefore can deliver terabit speeds and scale out configurations. Some ASIC routers can certainly do terabit performance inside the box, well, multi-terabit performance. But for service provider solutions, this is a very cost-effective way to reach performance levels that are perfect for service providers. We're highly scalable. As we've talked about before, we can scale our control plane and our data plane independently, or you can let us handle it all through the software, which allows you to basically scale up either the control plane if you need a lot more, packet processing work done, or the data plane if you're just looking for raw performance. And of course, we can turn control plane features on and off by license. Some of them come with it, like DHCP will come with a BNG license, but other ones you can turn on and off via license so that we can save you money on the front side and give you the ability to upgrade later on. And then of course, it's a very low TCO, commercial off-the-shelf servers, no TCAM, no merchant silicon line cards, so it's very inexpensive to start. It scales up over time, so it gives you great scalability. Spares is wonderful. You order a NIC card from Winncom, and you don't have to worry about keeping $100,000 line card in stock or something along those lines. And then operations are very simple. So you're using a ConfD CLI. So all of your folks that are CLI experienced just know our system like the back of their hand. We also underlie netconf so that if you have programmatic systems that use netconf, we bolt right into those. And then of course we have our manager GUI, which allows you to not only manage and monitor the network, but configure the network through a simple single pane of glass GUI. We have some bundles available for CGNAT. Basically, we work with a company called Lanner who make great servers, but you can use Supermicro, you can use Dell, you can use Cisco, you can use HP, whatever your favorite server is, you can use. We like Lanner for a couple of reasons. One, they're configured like a network appliance rather than a file server, so you don't have all your hard drives at the front, you've got network ports. It's also short depth, so it's easy to install in cabinetry. It's not just data center rack sizes. And it has the dual power supplies, the multi-fan, so it's a very robust, I wouldn't call it a high temperature range kind of solution. I would use cabinetry for that, but it's a very rugged server solution for service provider environments. So you can start off with a 12-core Xeon Silver CPU for a 40 gig CGNAT router, or you can go to a 160 gig CGNAT router with a 24-core Xeon Silver platform. And exclusively at Winncom, there's the CGNAT Lite 20 router, which is an 8-core Atom processor. Now, that doesn't have enough horsepower to get you full 10 gig ports, but it comes equipped with two 10 gig ports, and you'll be able to do about 5 to 7 gigs through those ports for a much, much lower price point than a larger, full 1RU rack mounted solution. So reach out to your Winncom rep to ask about the CGNAT Lite 20 router if that fits the bill. So in short, netElastic, we make a virtual router that does up to 700 gigs in 1RU on 10, 25, 40, and 100 gig ports. We allow control plane feature licenses to be added. We run on simple Xeon servers. We support all your popular network protocols, BGP, OSPF, ISIS, MPLS. We have a 2 million route fib to support multiple copies of the routing table. We're a dual stack router, so we're fully IPv4 and IPv6 compliant. We support a number of features like VRRP, warm standby, so that you can do high availability. So it's a very robust service provider centric vRouter. The virtual CGNAT is a piece of software that lays on top of the vRouter and gives you up to 6 million sessions of CGNAT per instance. And of course, you can run multiple instances on a single vRouter. We support NAT44 and NAT444. We do NAT logging, syslog, and a number of other features like port address translation, full cone support, application layer gateways, endpoint independent mapping and filtering, and a number of other key CGNAT features that you might require. And then we support the BNG license, of course, which is another add-on to the netElastic vRouter that will support ingress via PPPoE, IPoE, L2TP, point-to-point tunneling protocol, and the like. It's got built-in DHCP server, or you can relay if you're using your own DHCP mechanism. We support full AAA with radius change of authorization. We support QoS, we support policing, portal servers, lawful intercept, and all the other key features that you'd want in a BNG. A little bit about netElastic. We're a Santa Clara, California-based software developer. We make virtual routers and gateways exclusively, which run on Intel servers. We have a development team of about 30 people in Nanjing, China, as well as our team in Santa Clara. And we've been serving the global broadband industry exclusively. We don't do service provider, we don't do data center, we don't do enterprise, we just do service provider. And we've been doing that since 2016. We've got a lot of customers now across the globe. So customers from, in other countries, we have large telcos like Golden West and PTCI, all the way to small municipal networks like Pella Fiber, which is a small city in Iowa, which is using our CGNAT solution specifically for their fiber to the home applications. So lots of really good customers, mostly in the rural and suburban broadband space.
Now that Link has made a strategic investment in his network, he knows he'll never have to worry about IPv4 issues anymore. And he has more free time for his other choice. So reach out today to your friendly Winncom rep and ask what a netElastic CGNAT router can do for your business. Thanks.